Good morning, everyone, and welcome into Wake and Take. It's your boy Jason, and we have some football to talk about today. Of course, we had some Monday Night Football last night, so we'll be covering that. But most importantly, we're going to be covering the news. We've got some fun stories to break down today, so why don't we go ahead and get rocking? Pull out your coffee and enjoy the show. Why don't we start with Monday Night Football? And in case you were wondering, while Josh Allen did lay a stinker, he still did enough to beat me. I still did lose to Josh Allen in the Scott Fish Bowl. So I have to go 2-0 this week to get the proper wins to make the playoffs. I should still be good on points. I should still be able to make the Scott Fish Bowl playoffs on points. Had a rough beginning of the season. Only had one running back while Alvin Kamara was on suspension. And, now this week I have Alvin Kamara on bye and Bijan Robinson on bye. And you guessed it, I have no other running backs on my roster. Why did I do that? Well, I have 9 quarterbacks in the Scott Fish Bowl for some reason. So we'll see what I can do. I think I'll have enough average points to be able to eke in, even if I don't pull out the wins this week. But either way, Josh Allen, while sucking last night, did still beat me. In the Scott Fish Bowl, did get just enough done. I lost by 3 points. But, it is what it is. That's fantasy football. And, that just goes to show that even though Josh Allen is not that good at real football, he's a good fantasy football quarterback, and he pretty much always will be. He finishes the day with 177 pass yards and 13 rush yards, but he gets you 2 touchdowns, right? He gets you 2 touchdowns, one of them on the ground, one of them in the air. He does turn the ball over 3 times, and that's a concern. That's Josh Allen for you. There's a great tweet going around. It's been going around for the past few weeks now since he's been chucking these interceptions. But Josh Allen has been the NFL's leading interception receiver since 2018. Right? Every single year he is leading the NFL in interceptions, just continuously turning the ball over, throwing it into ill-advised situations. Now, that is what makes Josh Allen, right? That's why you like him. That's why he's explosive. And that's why sometimes the Bills will score 100,000 points in a game, because Josh Allen is not afraid to sling it. Just sometimes it doesn't work. And let's be honest here, this Denver Broncos defense, after being embarrassed by Miami, has stepped up in a great way. And really the whole team has. They're coming off wins against the Chiefs and the Bills now over the past few weeks. So, they're on fire right now, playing on all cylinders on not just offense, but on defense as well. So just a quick little round of applause for the Denver Broncos as they pull out this win in Buffalo. And it was not without the drama. Will Lutz goes out there, misses the game-winning field goal, but gets a saving grace by the Buffalo Bills accidentally throwing 12 people out there on defense or on the field goal defending unit. And, he got to redo it, got an extra 5 yards, nailed it, and the Broncos win in Buffalo as time expires. Honestly, a pretty damn good football game. We were treated to a spectacular, and spectacular, Courtland Sutton sideline toe touchdown grab. I actually saw a tweet. This was from Next Gen Stats. Tweeted this out, said that was the most improbable catch of the Next Gen Stats era. That catch, the Courtland Sutton sideline toe drag touchdown, the most unlikely catch of the Next Gen Stats era. It was not supposed to be catchable. Thrown perfectly by Russell Wilson, and the concentration for Courtland Sutton shows that's why he's one of everyone's favorites wide receiver 3s in fantasy football. The guy just gets it done. And a guy on the Broncos who is just not getting it done. And I'm finally calling it quits on Jerry Jeudy, ladies and gentlemen. I know we're 10 weeks in, and we've had basically no production from Jerry Jeudy his entire career. We've seen some promise. His rookie year was promising. Last year, despite the Broncos being awful, he almost had 1,000 yards, was right there over 900. But it's just not happening. I don't know what it is, but it is just not happening. Jerry Jeudy, 3 receptions for 35 yards. And that's honestly come to be the standard for him. So I don't know if he ever really turns it around. And I've got to be honest with you, I don't think a change of scenery is going to do it either. I think that we can call Jerry Jeudy a bust. He's still good. He's still a good wide receiver too. But I don't think he's ever really going to return that first-round draft pick capital at this point. I really don't know what can start to go right for him at this point. The Broncos offense is playing well. Russell Wilson's playing well. 193 yards and 2 touchdowns off of 24 completions, adding 30 yards on the ground, pulling off these wins. And Jerry Jeudy is almost nowhere to be seen. So I think I'm fine moving on from Jerry Jeudy and Dynasty, ladies and gentlemen. I think I am. If you can get, well, honestly, guys, I think if you could get an early second, that might be enough. That really might be enough, because you could get a replaceable wide receiver with that draft pick. You can clear up a roster spot, and then you're also done with the headache of having to start Jerry Jeudy every week. So that's going to be my little nugget of advice at this point on that regard. And Javonte Williams for the Broncos is back. 21 carries, 4 receptions, got himself a touchdown, crossed 100 yards. This is now back-to-back weeks of him, or maybe back-to-back weeks of him really looking good. Him looking like the Javonte Williams of his rookie season that we really liked. And it's good to see. It's good to see. So congratulations to everyone that held on to him. And I've got to say, he might still be cheaper than he should be. I'm going to be honest here. Thinking about how I would view the market right now, I mean, you could probably still get him for a second, which would definitely be worth it, especially for some competitive teams. I mean, Jaleel McLaughlin, while he looked good early in the season, has been relegated. Samaje Perine has been relegated. I mean, it is the Javonte Williams show in Denver, and it's been, paying dividends. It has been paying dividends for them as they've been now pulling off some victories with Javonte Williams at full strength. So good for the Broncos. I hope they can keep it up. They are now in the playoff hunt in a big way. And I'm curious to see how the rest of the season could push out for them. It's very, very interesting. And just a couple things about the Bills real quick. I've already ranted a bit about Josh Allen, but James Cook. Now, he finishes the day with over 100 yards off of only 14 touches, which is awesome. He had 120 yards, 12 carries, 2 receptions. Not bad at all. In fact, really good. He had that really cool play where he fumbled it, picked it back up, and kept running. And honestly, he got fat. Go watch this clip, guys. It was kind of funny to me. He's running, and you would think where he's running, because, I mean, he's basically at midfield, hitting the safety level. He fumbles it. It bounces back into his hands, and he somehow gets faster. Like, he picks up that fumble, and then, like, I feel like he got like a stat boost or something, a little bit of it, like he took a Mario Kart mushroom, and he just went and got himself like 20 more yards. It was pretty cool. It was a nice little play, but I am concerned about this volume. 14 touches for him. Guess how many Latavius Murray got? 11. And this is with Leonard Fournette still on the practice squad, still not being used. Even Ty Johnson got himself a carry in this game. I am concerned if I have James Cook. I really am. I know he's being efficient, but he's not getting the receiving work that I expected him to get early in the season. He's really not. And I don't think it'll come. I think, if anything, it'll be Leonard Fournette whenever he does get activated. If he gets activated, that's another takeaway I have here. Where the hell is Leonard Fournette now? You've had 2 weeks on the team. We've seen Josh Dobbs, a quarterback, come out and play and win for the Vikings the past 2 weeks, and he joined the team basically at the same time, and he's a quarterback. Running backs should be able to make themselves onto the active roster pretty easily. I mean, all they have to, they don't have to learn the playbook as much as the other positions do. It's a pretty standard transition at that position from offense to offense. I mean, you have to maybe learn some different pass pros and stuff like that, but you're still reading blocks. You're still running the same routes. Like, nothing is really that different in the running back position. So I am, a little interested as to why Leonard Fournette hasn't seen the field yet, because they were running the 3 running backs early in the season. They had Latavius Murray. They had James Cook. They had Damian Harris. And now it's just James Cook and Lat Murray, and for some reason, Ty Johnson. So if I did pick up Leonard Fournette over the past few weeks, or like me, the dumbass right here, this dumbass, who's been holding him all year in any league that he was available, thinking that he'd be something, I don't know when it's going to come, because this offense seems to really like Latavius Murray. I mean, he just had 70 yards and a touchdown. And that was as a complimentary role to James Cook. So I don't know when Leonard Fournette figures into this picture. It might just be the playoffs, and we're just treated to playoff Lenny. Definitely something that I'll keep my eye on for you guys here at the Wake and Take. But as of now, I haven't heard anything. And as of now, he's still on the practice squad. So before we move on, just one final. Let's go, Dalton Kincaid. 5 receptions, 51 yards, and a touchdown. Dude's just balling, man. Dude is just balling. Outperformed Stephon Diggs. Got more fantasy points than Gabe Davis. In fact, in PPR, he was the highest scoring player outside of Josh Allen. Even with James Cook having 120 yards, Dalton Kincaid got himself 16 fantasy points with that stat line. So good for Dalton Kincaid. Not going to slow down at all, even though the Buffalo Bills guys are now 500. They are now 500 10 weeks through the season, which is just so interesting. And the team right behind them, also nearing 500 after a loss to the Texans, is the Bengals, who now have a turnaround on Thursday Night Football. You have to ask yourself, is T. Higgins playing? Well, no. T. Higgins is not expected to return this week off of his injury that he missed this week's action. They're playing Thursday Night Football this week, and he is not expected to play. Jamar Chase is expected to play. He's trending in the right direction. I mean, this obviously comes as no surprise as that he played this week and had over 100 yards and a touchdown through the injury. But still, with the quick turnaround, you had to have some sort of question mark in the back of your head. Don't worry about it. Jamar Chase should be playing. T. Higgins should not. T. Higgins is not expected to play on Thursday Night Football. All right. I don't know how I segued from the Bills to the Bengals, but it was pretty smooth. But let me real quick, before we get into more news, let's talk a little bit about our friends over at Bettle.
Oh, I see it every day online, every single day. Hey, that looks like a great fantasy team in an 8-team league. Oh, wish I could be in a league with you, right? Well, guess what? Now you can respond with, sure, let's play on Bettle. That's the beauty of this platform. This new Bettle platform standardizes all position scoring. So you just load your team and you challenge your friend, your colleague, Twitter troll, and you can browse other teams and issue challenges. Bettle is revolutionizing fantasy football. And with code Underworld, you get a $100 instant deposit match plus a free $10. So even if you deposit $20, you get $50. Think about that. So go to Bettle.com. The code is Underworld. Bettle.com. The code is Underworld. Or click a link in the description. It's fun to be right.
It is fun to be right over at Bettle Fantasy, guys. I'll promote this more this week, but over the last 2 weeks at Bettle Fantasy, we have been running a competition to where you can challenge me. You can challenge Matt Babbage. You can challenge Seth Dewald. And of course, you can challenge my trade god brethren, Matty Kiwoom, on Bettle Fantasy. That's the top dog dynasty dogfight that we're running every single week. Whoever has the most points by the end of the season will win themselves a signed Saquon Barkley jersey. You heard me right. So go ahead and get in there. We've only had 2 weeks of action, so you can still catch up and win those Saquon jerseys. Matt Babbage won week 1. I just won week 2 of this competition, entering my Trade Gods team, actually, believe it or not. So you can take your best team, your best dynasty team, and import it into Bettle, and you can challenge some of your favorite player profiler hosts. So go check that out. I'll let you guys know when we get when we update it for this week, and you guys can enter because it's fun. It's a fun little platform. It's really good stuff over at Bettle. Now, the news that we have to break down today is Zay Jones has been arrested on domestic battery charges. It is confirmed that he did this at this point. There is actual evidence that he physically harmed a person, and he is in court today. Now, the deal is it's just a smaller domestic battery charge. The jail time is like a maximum of 5 months and a fine. I'm sure as an NFL player, he'll probably just do a fine and be back out in civilization. Now he could land himself on the commissioner's exempt list. The Jaguars could decide to do some team punishment, but I doubt that we're going to see anything massive coming out of this, at least this season. However, we haven't been seeing Zay Jones play some football in a long time. So I honestly think that the Jaguars might just let him sit out this season as he battles this. I know it could be something similar to like the Hassan Haskins situation where they just put him on the NFI list or something. Definitely something that we'll have to keep our eye on. As you know, Zay Jones has been someone that I and many others have been stashing for his return, as when he's been playing for the Jaguars this season, he stepped up in a big way. Stepped up in a much bigger way than Calvin Ridley, even. Calvin Ridley this week had a 9.7% target share per JJ Zachariason. That is the second lowest of the season. So you'd think that you'd see a below 10% target share for Calvin Ridley, and that would be his worst week of the year, but it isn't. Calvin Ridley is boom or bust. And not even really boom. He's just bust or okay at this point. So Calvin Ridley getting less and less exciting as the season goes on, as kind of expected. We all at Player Profiler had been telling you and screaming from the rooftops to make sure you draft Christian Kirk at cost. Calvin Ridley was way too expensive and not worth it. He hadn't played football in years, going to a new team. Like there was really nothing pointing to Calvin Ridley having that much success. And we're seeing it now on the football field. The next piece of news we have for you is Arthur Smith. It's Arthur Smith. You know, the Falcons are going into the bye, and this is a time where the Falcons could be looking to make a change. However, it has been reported per Jeff Schultz, an Atlanta reporter for The Athletic, that Arthur Smith has the ownership support to be the head coach in 2024 even. The only way Smith isn't back as the team's coach in 2024 is if there's evidence players are tuning him out or the team completely unravels. Arthur Smith is not going to fire Arthur Blank is not going to fire Arthur Smith this week or next week or anytime soon. The Falcons owner is expected to let this season play out, but Smith knows that he has to start winning. Yeah, so when I see this quote, I see the 2024 stuff, and I am not reading into it as that is fact, right? Like he said, ending it with, unless there's evidence the players are tuning him out or the team unravels, I think there's a very high probability this team unravels and Arthur Smith does get fired. So don't take this word as, bond that he will definitely be back in 2024. Things can change so fast in this league. However, the piece that we do need to know is that Arthur Smith will be able to finish out the year, unfortunately. I thought it could be cool if the Falcons would fire him, roll with the team, and get a raw guy for the rest of the season to try to win this division. Arthur Smith is not that, and it's going to be hard for this Falcons team to be able to make a push. Now, they are only technically one game back from the Saints right now, and they do have, it's within their hands. They still play every single team in the division again this year, so they can still easily win this division. But they have to decide who they are this week. They have to use this bye to decide their identity. And that's why I've been ranting a bit about Desmond Ridder, because I do believe that Desmond Ridder is the identity of this Falcons team, even if it isn't pretty, even if he's turning the ball over, even if he isn't as good of a game manager as Taylor Heinicke. He provides this team actual looks and makes the offense have an identity, right? Like, this is what the Falcons should look like. It's with a quarterback like Desmond Ridder, who can do all of the things that he does. The athleticism, the RPOs, all of that fun stuff is what Desmond Ridder brings to the table. And Taylor Heinicke just doesn't do that. And we've seen it now. That Taylor Heinicke just does not make this Falcons offense as exciting as we hoped it would be. And unfortunately, we still don't know who the starting quarterback will be. Arthur Smith said naming a starting quarterback right now would be a little premature. Taylor Heinicke is battling a low-grade hamstring injury, so they will be using this bye to evaluate the position moving forward. This is what we had expected anyway. We had already been eyeing this week 11 bye week as the time we would find out what the Falcons are going to be doing to push forward. I hope it's Desmond Ridder. I really do. I know that I'm the only person in the world saying this, but Taylor Heinicke is just not as exciting. It just isn't as exciting. And that's all I care about at the end of the day. I want some entertainment. And if Desmond Ridder and Taylor Heinicke are going to be able to put these teams in the same position, and if Taylor Heinicke is going to go 0-2 as the starter, you might as well throw the young guy out there with actual ceiling that was starting to show some promise, that was having 300-yard games, that was rolling and rocking and looking good. You might as well just do that. And so that's what I hope they do. Don't know if they'll do it. We'll find out in a week. We'll keep our eye on it for sure. Some fun news regarding starters. This is a cool one. This is a very, very interesting one. Didn't see it coming at this point of the season, or really at all. I know I made an overlay for this, but I don't see it anywhere, so I'll just go to the general. Jaylen Warren has officially been announced as the starting running back for the Pittsburgh Steelers ahead of this week's matchup, and it's only Tuesday, and it actually came out yesterday. So whatever he did this week, which was 100 yards off of the same amount of touches as Najee Harris, made him the starter, and really all season. And what we saw from him last season. I've got to just go ahead and apologize for my Najee Harris hype in the offseason. I really thought that Jaylen Warren's usage last season was indicative of Najee Harris not being 100%. And I was just so impressed by him being able to finish out the year playing through the Liz Frank injury that I thought a fully healthy Najee Harris would bounce back to his rookie season where he's seeing a ridiculous amount of opportunity and producing at a very, very high level. We didn't see it. Najee Harris has not been efficient at all. In fact, Najee Harris, despite having 35 more touches than Jaylen Warren this season, only has 10 more total yards. That's really bad. And then you go to PlayerProfiler.com and you look at these efficiency metrics. You see that Jaylen Warren is 10th in yards per touch, but Najee Harris is 41st. You see that Jaylen Warren is 3rd in juke rate, and Najee Harris is 10th in that stat. You see the breakaway run weights. They're actually back-to-back, which is nice. But you look at the other ones, like Jaylen Warren is 4th in yards created per touch. Najee Harris is 25th in yards created per touch. all of them, really. Production premium, 9th for Jaylen Warren, 37th for Najee Harris. It has just not been good for Najee this year. He's getting you the fantasy points off of touchdowns the past couple weeks, but still, Jaylen Warren is now the official starter. Now, I will say this. I still think that this is going to be 50-50. I'm not expecting Jaylen Warren to now have a 70% opportunity share and Najee Harris being faded into oblivion. That's not how this is going to work. In fact, I would find it very interesting if Jaylen Warren as the starter looks less explosive now, looks less efficient, because it is just possible that he was getting the better looks as the RB2, coming in relief for Najee Harris, getting the more explosive play designs. We could be seeing that change. And I'm honestly saying at this point in time, you've got to still start both. I know that Jaylen Warren now becomes a bit more tantalizing. In fact, that this might be a buy window for Najee Harris, but this is definitely a committee. This is a less exciting Tony Pollard, Ezekiel Elliott situation. And they're really, like I said on Monday's episode, really the only part of the Steelers offense you can trust. And I don't think, again, that Najee Harris will be faded. And I don't think that Jaylen Warren is going to be shot up into oblivion in terms of his opportunity share. But I do think that this is a good thing for Jaylen Warren, of course, and a slightly bad thing for Najee, but I still think he'll get his and be fine. Again, buy low on Najee, maybe. I've seen some crazy cheap trades for him. I do still think he's going to get, at least 10 to 15 touches a game, and that's all you can ask for. Now, we have some other updates on Keaton Mitchell. As we all know, most of his touches came in the first quarter. He looked amazing, and then he was kind of faded out of the game plan. John Harbaugh, I'm thinking of Jim, John Harbaugh said that Keaton Mitchell's lack of usage is a legitimate question. He said, looking back on it, Mitchell should have been more involved, and he attributed to the coaching staff still learning to trust a young player and what he's healthy enough to do or handle. As we know, he picked up the hamstring injury in practice. So, again, as we kind of talked about yesterday, I'm not panicking about Keaton Mitchell not getting that much volume. I think it'll continuously trend up, and he will eventually completely fade out Justice Hill, and then eventually also work himself up to at least 10 touches a game. And with the explosiveness that he's displayed, that's all you can ask for. And so Keaton Mitchell, again, still fine, still someone you should be buying, as I think that this is the exact type of player to will hit his value will just continuously trend up until it just reaches a peak. But we are not there yet. You can still buy him and buy him and buy him, as the ceiling is still not here. The player that you missed the buy window on is De'Von Achane. He is officially activated off IR and expected to play this week. It's going to be awesome. Let's go, De'Von Achane. Not much to say about it besides, let's go. He'll be back. Matthew Stafford, also expected to be back. Matthew Stafford is expected to start this week, so the Carson Wentz signing was more insurance than Matthew Stafford being too hurt to play. Now, definitely still, if you picked up Carson Wentz, still just roster him in Superflex leagues, because it is possible that he could re-aggravate this injury or something. It is a thumb injury, and he's a quarterback, so it is an injury that is something important to monitor and could get worse or re-aggravated. So definitely still roster Carson Wentz. But it's going to be Matthew Stafford at the helm this week, which means good things for the Rams, and especially Cooper Kupp and Puka Nacua. So as this remains quiet, I might try to buy Puka Nacua and Cooper Kupp still go try to buy those wide receivers, as I think that this is the exact time to get them to try to make your final push towards the fantasy football playoffs. And I believe I have one more piece of news. Yes, it is Derek Carr. The Saints are not considering a quarterback change per Dennis Allen. He came out and said that Derek Carr should be fine. He is battling a concussion and an AC joint sprain right now, but as they're in the bye week, they expect him to be able to use this time to heal up and be good to go. However, I'm upset about it. As you guys know, I'm a Jameis Winston stan isn't the right word, but I just like Jameis Winston is exciting. Like I was saying with Desmond Ridder. Desmond Ridder is just more exciting than Taylor Heineke. Jameis Winston is just more exciting than Derek Carr. Chris Olave in this last game with Derek Carr, 1 target for 15 yards in 37 minutes with Derek Carr. Chris Olave with Jameis Winston in the only 20 minutes that they played together, 9 targets, 79 yards, and a touchdown, and had another 25-yard catch that was called back due to a penalty. He had almost 100 yards with just Jameis Winston, and about half the time he was playing with Derek Carr on Sunday. That just goes to show how much better for fantasy Jameis Winston is, and why I want him at the helm. It's not going to happen, it looks like, per Dennis Allen, but still, Derek Carr starting, and I wish it was Jameis Winston. Just keep your eye on it, though. As you know, these concussions and these AC joint sprains could just continuously trend worse and maybe get re-aggravated in practice as well. So we'll keep our eye on it, but it's looking like Derek Carr will be playing. That is all the news I have for you guys. Let's check out the chat. Good morning, everyone. Yeah, Harry Snowman says you're just now calling it quits on Jerry Jeudy. Yeah, I'm a hopeful guy. And I like the profile, and I liked his rookie season. And like I said, last season he was the only part of the Broncos that looked good. So I thought he would eventually turn it around, but I mean, dude is not turning it around at all. And so, oh well, it's over. I'm just calling it done. All right. Let's see. When Leonard Fournette is slated to play, would you start him over Jerome Ford or Connor? Oh, no way. No way. No way would I start Leonard Fournette over any of these people when he plays. Now, you've got to keep rolling with Ford or Connor. You've got to see Leonard Fournette play before you throw him into your lineup. And on YouTube, congratulations, Scott, as you are getting Justin Jefferson, Devon Achane, and Khalil Herbert back this week. I hope that gives you all you need to make that final push to get into your playoffs if you're not already there, or to just go ahead and solidify yourself in these playoffs and maybe make that final run towards your championship. Scott, congratulations on getting those studs back. I see a couple trade questions on Instagram and TikTok, and then I'll sign you guys out of here. Would you trade Joe Mixon for Derrick Henry? Yes, I would do that in a heartbeat. And would you trade a first and Tyjae Spears for Deebo Samuel and a fourth? You're a contender. If you're a contender, I would just try the first for Deebo. Don't throw Tyjae Spears in there. I think Tyjae Spears is someone you should roster. But since you're a contender, that first is a late first. So you could get Deebo Samuel with that. I would honestly just be shopping that first in general craziness. I think that I might try to get a little bit more than Deebo Samuel. But if that's all you can get and you need a boost at wide receiver, that's a fine move to make. But I'm not throwing Tyjae Spears in there. I'm only trying the first. And just to clarify, Ryan asks on TikTok, was it Derrick Henry or Joe Mixon that I wanted? It's Derrick Henry. Give me the king. And someone asked Bijan for Henry. Keep rolling with Bijan. You've got to keep rolling with Bijan for sure. Do I think Khalil Herbert takes the reins from Deontay Foreman? Yes and no. I think that he'll get 55%. Deontay Foreman will get, 40, and then like 10 to 5, whatever, to Roschon Johnson. But yeah, I think Khalil Herbert will at least get the bulk of the carries, with Deontay Foreman figuring in very close behind. Very, very close behind. Would you trade away Kupp for Ayuk and McBride? If you need a tight end, yes. Zay Flowers or Cortland Sutton? Give me Zay, I think. And Mostert or Breece Hall going forward? Breece Hall. Give me Breece Hall every single day of the week. All right, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in. This was the Wake and Take. We have Waiver Wired coming at you live in just 2 minutes. So make sure you tune in for the Podfather over on Waiver Wired on the Player Profiler YouTube and Twitter and Facebook. So again, thank you all for tuning in. Love spending my morning with you guys. I'll see you all tomorrow at the regular time, 10 a.m. on the Player Profiler YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. Have a terrific Tuesday and a wonderful rest of your week. Peace.
Hey, I want to take a moment to thank you for tuning in. It's important to me that all of our media be free. This is only possible because of you allowing a true independent sports media enterprise to thrive unlike any other in the business. So please subscribe to the All In Package to continue to make all of this possible, to ensure that all of our stats, information, data, content is available to you, especially you, the people that get the site and get the show.